Thank you, Mr. Toda-san, for the wonderful introduction. Yeah, the radioactive witch or Mrs. Nuclear is appropriate. Term for me. But to conclude this fruitful day, which was full of very interesting presentations from Japan and provided an extensive overview of the Japanese nuclear power program and introduced the ideas that we have here in Estonia. I would like to now invite our panelists here to wrap up this day. So we have here Mr. Marti Jeltsov from Fermi Energia. So please take a seat. And Mr. Lauri Kütt from Consumer Protection and Technical Regulatory Authority. From Estonian side. Then Mr. Joshua Best from United States of America, Sargent and Lundy. And from Japan, Dr. Yukari Yamashita. Please, if you can join the panel. And last but not least, we have actually Mr. Hattori-san joining online, who is a former executive director of JICC. So I hope he's online. Okay. Yes. Good evening, Mr. Hattori-san. I know it's very late in Japan already. But we're very glad that you could join us today for this panel discussion.
Me too. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you. We're happy to have you here as well. As a warm-up question, it was discussed extensively today, what kind of factors affect the success of the nuclear power program, whether it's a construction program or whether it's regulatory and inspections aspects. The question to all panelists is that if you had to pick one critical milestone or point that Estonia must get right with the next 3 years when we're now preparing our program, what would it be? So let's start from here. Dr. Yamashita, the microphone also, please.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much. It's difficult to pick only one. But and then also I have already learned from this morning that everybody is doing very well. But if I choose one, I think relevant ministries and agencies' determination and dedication to pursue the development of nuclear is very important.
Yeah, thank you very much. Fully agree with you.
And building off that idea, I think I would say the Nuclear Act sets the standard, right, for the next 60 plus years, right, potentially, here, and dedicating the right resources to ensure that is flexible enough, yet prescriptive enough, right, kind of this idea of right-sizing that Nuclear Act to enable this program to be developed in the near term in the face of a lot of uncertainty, but also create some standards and expectations for decades to come.
I definitely agree with my colleague that getting the nuclear law right is, I would say, the most important part right now, because that would be the foundation for further work. But also to expand, I would also say that building up the competency within Estonia to actually be able to implement the law is also very important, that we have the capacity to give the right evaluations and make sure that everything is safe.
I would say that I would agree with the first comment that quite many things we've heard here, and what I've observed over the last 6 years is also that things are going quite well here and with the reference project. And I agree that we have to, this is the opportunity where we have to learn from the best practices, identify them, and really learn and use standard solutions when they may all not come from the same place. Maybe we saw good examples in construction from Japan. We see good licensing practices in Canada. We see first deployment in Canada. So we have to identify the best practices and really communicate and learn and keep doing as we have done so far.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hattori-san?
Yes, I'd like to talk about using my slide. Would you mind see it?
Just a minute, we're trying to pull up your slides.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we have them.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I'd like to talk mainly from the industry point of view. And the top three, the success factor for preparing nuclear power program is the first is the collaboration between government, industry, and academia. That might be the most important thing. That is, I think this is the number two. No. Yeah, this is what I would like to say first. Can you see?
Yes, we can see the slide.
Yeah. The first is the collaboration between government, industry, and academia. And these three are the main stakeholder should share the vision and the roadmap of the program. I don't know what situation in Estonia now. And I think it's very important to clarify the role and responsibility of each member. What the government mainly prepare for the registration, and industry is mainly for the focusing for the preparing for the next public acceptance and the human resources, and also we have to work together with academia, universities, and other research institutes, and so on. The next one is public understanding and support. Nuclear program cannot cannot promote without understanding and support of the public. And then the two key points I'd like to say is one is the stakeholder involvement is crucial. The public might be the most important stakeholder in order to public understanding and support is very, very important. That might be the whole lifetime for the nuclear project. And for the industry side, for the especially from the owner and operator side, openness and transparency is essential. Transparency is not so easy for the. That is also very, very important. And the last one is human resource development. Might be the very, very important, especially in the area of the safety culture, and hands-on approach is a cornerstone. Sometimes the safety culture is too much they're focusing on the knowledge, but actually how the people will act, the action is also very important. And so I would say the hands-on approach is very, very important. We should know the actual field, actual hardware, and actual the site work. We have to look and see. And for the human resource development, is on-the-job training might be the most efficient measure. I think it's learning in the universities or learning, training and lecture. That is also important, but on-the-job training might be the most efficient and most important measure, I think. That is what I would like to say, the success factor for preparing nuclear power program. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very good points from all of the panelists. Cooperation between relevant ministries, developing nuclear law, and investing in capacity building, and cooperating with academia, and learning from others' experience and implementing the best practice. Here are all very relevant takeaways from the panelists. So, but continuing on that, and maybe continuing with Mr. Hattori's idea
Yes.
of gaining this public trust, and from the industry side, how do you build public trust during this operation construction phase? And what kind of recommendations would you give to the country like Estonia, how to establish this large number of public trust among local residents?
Oh, that's a very good point. I'd like to explain by using this slide. Key principle, title is Key Principle to Ensure Public Trust and Compliance. The basic principle mainly for the safety, the utility company, that is owner and operator, has a primary responsibility on securing nuclear safety. This is, I think, the common in not only in Japan, but Estonia is also. And next is the purpose of the regulatory requirement is the minimum requirement and not sufficient, but necessary condition to secure nuclear safety. We have to recognize utility company is required to enhance safety through continuous improvement. Without continuous improvement, when we got the approval or we passed some test by the regulatory body, that is not sufficient. And we have to do more. And next is the significance of the regulatory inspection. The regulatory inspection is a necessary process to promote a nuclear construction project. I fully agree. But utility company has to recognize that to pass regulatory inspection does not mean to assure nuclear safety. This is one of the key lessons learned from Fukushima Daiichi accident. What I would like to say, I'm working the long term in the TEPCO, and also I have the station manager with Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station. And this might be the most important lesson learned from the Fukushima Daiichi accident. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hattori. Yeah, this Kaizen mindset is really important, like making like small improvements every day to become better and better. But this comes to the budgeting and cost efficiency topic. So Dr. Yamashita, like I wanted to ask you or you to share your ideas, like how do you balance the need for robust safety measures with the goal of keeping costs and timeline under control? Because there's always someone who can do it cheaper, but maintaining the level of safety that is necessary and keeping the budget and timeline under control. What would be your recommendations or ideas on that?
Based on my study and having learned from talking to the people, listening to the people today, I think first of all the clear and transparent regulation, so that everybody shares what is required, and then healthy relationship between the regulatory authority and the utilities and the industries, so that there will be that will enable them to not exchange, but to have the dialogue on the technicality or what is the idea behind the regulation, and then what is the debating point from the industry point of view, because we are surrounded by the uncertainties, and the situation may change very easily, and then based on that, we have to actually figure out how to deal with the situation while complying to the regulation. And then if we do not share the technical concern with the authority, it might become the not efficient regulation. Or even though somebody said that the rigid or more challenging regulation is important. It's nothing about it. There is no. It is not dispensable. It is indispensable, and yet there is a cost factor. Therefore, the dialogue between the industries and the regulatory board is important, I think.
Yeah, that's really important to have a good dialogue. But then, Marti, you're from the Estonian potential future operator side. What are your views on how in Estonia we can ensure this good collaboration and coordination between the regulatory authority and government level decision makers and operator? Just to keep this keep us from over-regulating and keep us from burdening you with the high level of bureaucracy and just to implement the graded approach and ensure maximum safety is ensured, but at the same time not jeopardizing your project with extra costs and exceeding timelines. So what kind of measures you foresee, or how it would be the best to put in practice this coordination and cooperation between regulatory authority and the potential operator or the project managing company without creating any unnecessary dependencies or making the regulatory authority biased or.
Mm-hmm. I think simple answer is communication, but behind that, what I mean with this is a very clear definition of the expectations from the both sides. It can be a separate individual process even to clarify those expectations. They are important for both sides. So all the regulatory frameworks are there to enable different industries. The same goes for nuclear regulators. I mean, this enabling word, I lend it from the Baraka project or UAE regulators actually, who said that the goal is to enable the safe use of nuclear power for the good of society. And one key thing is to not, or enabler for that is not reinventing the wheel too much, because this is not a very new industry. It's quite established industry. And what we are doing here in Estonia is we're looking at the International Atomic Energy Agency guides. So we're both looking, you saw in the siting, pre-works for the siting we've done on the government side, on the Fermi side. We come to the same results if we follow the same procedures and same methodologies. So that's one thing. And same goes for the project also, that we should not reinvent the wheel too much, talk to others, and to make sure that we get the highest quality in the design that is certified or approved according to the nuclear standards, and then we build the quality has to be ensured or achieved in the realization of that project. So first we have to make sure that the designs are certified and checked, and then we have to realize all the plans with very, very high quality. And I totally agree that the regulatory requirements is just one level, but the operator is thinking about safety and also the costs, and the quality is actually that works for both. So quality deployment, quality realization of all the processes, and the technical and organizational serves both goals, safety and economics, and in the end the society.
Thank you. Well, communication is key everywhere. I completely agree with you, and that's what we have been stressing from the government side as well, that our job is to create an enabling environment for nuclear energy. That doesn't necessarily mean that the government needs to be part of the project, but in order to let the private sector implement their ideas, we first have to create this environment where they can strive. So creating an enabling environment is definitely a top priority. But in Estonia, we already have some experience with creating enabling environment for big construction projects. So the nuclear power plant construction will be a really big project in Estonia terms, but we have several ongoing big construction projects in Estonia. And I would like to ask from Lauri that from the technical regulatory authority side, what do you see that are all kind of key success factors for those very big construction projects that we can implement or from which we can learn in this nuclear power program implementation? Thank you.
Oh, yes, most certainly. I would emphasize a reduction of uncertainty, which in the end comes actually down to communication with your partners and the applicants that want to do something. For example, we need to be on the same page with, for example, interpretation of regulations. I might read one document, he might read the same document, and we might interpret one word differently, and we are in different mindsets. But we have to be on the same page to avoid the conflicts. And there has to be a predetermined process how to resolve those conflicts. Either we include external opinions for evaluations or have discussions on that. But it is very important to be on the same page with the ongoing regulations and their interpretations. And also very important is the consultation between the applicant and the license issuer, that we use the same methods to evaluate the processes and technologies. So, for example, if the risk assessment done by Fermi Energy is based on one condition, and we might use the other one, then we're going to have a conflict. So it's very important to be on the same page as well with the risk assessments and follow the same industry standards, which is very important. And we don't have to even invent the standards ourselves. It's an old industry indeed. So, but every technology has to be proven to be safe. So there are methods for that.
Yeah, being on the same page when you discuss things and making sure that both sides understand the same terms in the same manner is definitely very important. It should to bear in mind and to make sure and not to assume that the other party understands things the same way. That's what we have learned during our nuclear energy discussions and debates as well. That although we think that we understand things the same way, or we're all reading the same sentence, the understanding of this information might differ significantly. But Josh, you are working with multiple countries on multiple embarking countries, and are introducing nuclear energy. And what kind of common challenges you see that countries face that actually could be easily overcome, but are sometimes overlooked?
Yeah, there are so many, but I think considering the stage that Estonia is in right now, the level of effort to establish the regulator, I think, can't be underestimated. It really sets the tone for the rest of the project, right? So setting up enough resource early into that regulator to enable the private investor to have certainty into the regulations, to give the right market signals that there's a clear path to success is going to be a really important step. I think some examples of that is in UAE with Baraka and Fanner, right? They had very strong political support. They had strong financial support to that project, and yet it still took much effort, I think, beyond what they initially anticipated, and they had to bring in external technical support organizations to actually enable some of their key reviews. And I believe the similar situation is unfolding in Poland with PAA. I know there's a public tender out there in Poland for technical support organizations to support PAA as it's doing its reviews of the AP1000, and then I believe subsequently also the GE technology in Poland. So ensuring that you have the right resource early cannot be overemphasized.
Yeah, establishing a nuclear regulatory authority is currently a very hot topic in Estonia because since we are currently drafting our first nuclear law, we have now in a phase where we need to dedicate a chapter to the regulatory authority, and we're hoping to receive very soon this political level decision on how this regulator should be established. And Sargent and Lundy's team has been here for the whole week to provide their assistance and good advice on those regulatory aspects. But when these are actually politicians and high-level government officials who make those kind of decisions. So it's important to educate them and for them to have a right safety mindset, or like nuclear safety oriented mindset, that they would not only look at the numbers or in the budget, but think what's behind those numbers, and understand the need for high quality and higher standards that are being implemented for nuclear energy and for nuclear programs. So I wanted to ask Mr. Hattori-san that what kind of recommendations would you give to Estonia, and how we should integrate the safety culture into our nuclear power program from very beginning, to have this right mindset in order to introduce nuclear energy?
Oh, that's a very important but not so easy to answer. And I prepared, this is how to integrate a safety culture into a nuclear program. This is my idea. And I should say that two sections. One is organization culture, and next is a specific attitude and action of each individual, each person. And organization culture is the most important, is a commitment of top management on safety first and quality first. And the organization culture should be take open stand. That might be the top management for the order, and enhance transparency. And next is listen to and learn from others. Others means is many things. Others, for example, other industries like aviation industry, or the automobiles and trains, and many other industry might be the very good reference to understand the safety. And also the other people, other nations, other organization, or the other company, other utility company, many. And last one is hands-on approach. We have to look at the actual field. We have to know the actual hardware and what's the situation. And sometimes we are too much learn by textbook and reading the textbook, or gain the knowledge that is not enough. I think this hands-on approach is very, very important. And next is the specific attitude and action of each individual. That might be very important in addition to the top management or management level. The first is to maintain the questioning attitude. Many times we have to ask why. There is a very famous for the story in Japan. You know the Toyota, the car manufacturer in Japan, maybe one of the largest car manufacturer in the world. They have their practice 5 times. We have to try 5 times why. Why? Many times we have to ask the question. That is a very important aspect, the questioning attitude. And also next is the stretch imagination. We have to imagine, in addition to the regulatory requirement, what kind of the mistake, what kind of situation will happen. Someone said, we have already got approval from the regulatory body. That is not enough. We have to imagine the other situation, more severe situation. Humankind don't want to know what he would like he don't like to happen, but we have to imagine. And next one is never be complacent. That is also very important. And last one, we have to study liberal arts. We are talking the nuclear fuels, too much focus on technology or nuclear technology, nuclear engineering. But we have to open our eyes, and we have to study liberal arts. That might be the very, very important. We have to learn more from the history or the arts and music and many, many things we have to learn from others. Thank you.
Thank you. Those are very good takeaway points for implementing safety culture and educating those top management, both in government authorities and private sector, is definitely important. And that we're trying also to do here in Estonia by engaging political level decision makers into those study tours and inviting them to our events. And to introduce this wonderful world of nuclear energy to them and cultivate this safety-oriented mindset, and for them to be able to see further now from numbers on a paper. But coming to again the numbers on paper, well, in Estonia that's been debated the Parliament adopted this positive decision in principle regarding nuclear, but as long as the construction hasn't started, it's probably not going to happen, and there's no need to rush into things. And Dr. Yamashita, I wanted to ask you, what kind of economics or what kind of key financial planning elements Estonia must secure before the first concrete is poured? What kind of financial elements give us the assurance that this project is going to materialize?
Very difficult question, right? You're talking about setting up the regulatory board, also the Nuclear Act. So that is on its way. And then you say that the political, you have to educate the political politicians and then also the government people. But for the economics, we have to have I think I'm going back to the first answer, the clear and concrete plan. What kind of, the roadmap you have, and what kind of, how long it will take, and then the how long it will service, and then all the lifetime is how much, how many years, and all these plan has to be designed before you put on the concrete, of course, but earlier the better, because setting up the regulatory is one thing, but thinking about the plan with a more concrete idea of how much will be required, with who will be the suppliers, all these things are uncertain. But you have to do the simulation or whatever the estimation you need to do, and then to have some idea, then you can actually decide which will supply the best quality, as you said, best safety, the safe and best quality, the plant which Estonia needs, and then that will be eventually the economical way of planning the new nuclear power plant. You will be ready for many surprising events on the way if you do the simulation by yourself. The many different paths which may happen, and then many exogenous event which may surprise you, and then you are completely prepared for different scenarios of the constructing the new power plant, and then you will have the resources to make a decision based on the information. And of course, you talk to the international, like-minded countries. There are many professionals, and then they are with the experiences, so you can consult them, including the international organizations.
Yes, well, there is kind of like a saying that, well, this thing has never happened before, and yet again it's happened. It has so it's in order to avoid this kind of like surprises before construction or even during the process, to keeping the budget and timeline in line. So, Marti, I wanted to ask you, but although we don't have like those ready like reference reactors or SMRs here operating yet, but there is a number of countries who are considering and whose program is maybe like a little more advanced than Estonia wants. That are there already some kind of like a takeaways or lessons learned from other countries' experience that you as this project leading organization could implement in Estonia, or some like good practices or examples that you're planning to use?
Yeah, well, with the BWRX 300, the most advanced project is in Canada, the OPG one, and that one we are closely following for sure. Well, just looking at it more generally than that, and relating to the previous comment that something can go wrong and there are many exogenous factors, and I think the solution is to sort of plan for the worst, or at least simulate those things out before it happens, and see, what do you do then? Of course, the real life will be what it will be, maybe the same, maybe not, probably not. But and this reference project in Canada is something that is doing this simulation for us in many aspects, and there are several things that we, of course, and other follower projects in US, Poland, and in Estonia, we want to avoid. So we somehow have to, in order to leverage it's very easy to say, let's use everything, let the Canadians do the heavy work, and we all benefit from that. It's very easy to say, but we have to work closely with them to make sure that their initial efforts will pay off. And every next customer brings a potential for them and for the whole, let's say, a fleet approach to pay off in the end. So establishing platforms for all the deployers of that technology to exchange information, to exchange experience, and also establish standardized project and regulatory reviews to be leveraged on in every nth of a kind project, or to have to converge to something good in the end. And by good, I mean everything, the safe, secure, economic project. So you constantly have to simulate the future. This is what you have to do. Think that you're already there. For example, if you wanna know how easy it is to get the nuclear power plant workers in Estonia, just write a job ad and put it out there and see how many applicants you get. That's an indication. And then you reply to them that sorry, no vacancies today, but you can really simulate those several aspects. Or construction worker, you work very on very concrete and specific plans from day one or day -1 even. So the early technology selection is something that allows us to do all these things. In Canada, they started with a project 2010-ish with the siting. And so there was a gap of 10 years or something when they actually started moving with a totally new technology that they had in the beginning. Luckily, it was smaller, so it fits all the parameters. But the early technology selection is something that helps the project, and not only the project, but also the regulation development, the waste disposal system management development, all that, to keep it very concrete. Because if you don't know what kind of technology you're talking about, you don't need to know. You don't know what kind of people to prepare, what kind of legislation to prepare, etc. So simulate and then do some choices as early as you can. You may change them, but at least you have a reference for on the way.
Yeah, thank you, Marti, for those insights. But Lauri, hearing those very good arguments from Marti, from potential future operator's side, how do you feel from the potential regulator's side? That how can we already now prepare for licensing and inspecting and regulating this kind of like a technology? And what kind of early steps can we take from the regulator side to be as prepared as possible for the future?
I do feel that in Estonia we are small and we have to stand on the shoulders of the giants that our partners are. So the international collaboration is very important, and to have a very clear understanding that what exactly we need to do and who is the best to fulfill those roles and what competences they need. And it comes down to cooperation with our colleagues. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Josh, you are, as I mentioned, you're cooperating in Sargent and Lundy with a number of countries. There was about 100 countries that you have established a cooperation on nuclear or non-nuclear related topics. So. And Estonia now is also cooperating with those giants, as Lauri mentioned, the United States and Japan, and so Canada and France, for example, who are have very long-term experience in nuclear energy. But how do you, from your experience, that you have followed the developments in different countries regarding nuclear energy? How important it is to engage from very early stages as experienced engineers or technical support organizations or companies like Sargent and Lundy in order to ensure the successful implementation of nuclear program?
Yeah, I guess the simple answer is you can never be early enough to start engaging. The easiest way to try to solve problems, and I think we find this each time we have the opportunity to collaborate, especially face-to-face, but even virtually, is you get questions asked just through the normal conversation of a topic that maybe you wouldn't have considered until you got in the room and started having the conversation, right? So from an early perspective, start communicating early. But the reason why I think is you can start testing those partners, right, to say, who can be a trusted partner early, right? Who do you want to be in your corner in the long term of the program? And then that really can build on this idea of integrated project delivery approach, which is a more novel idea, especially in nuclear, but to have of a more partnership approach to deployment. I think some lessons learned, like from the U.S. Vogtle site project, is maybe all vendors didn't act as partners, but they acted individualistic. And so in acting that way, you get people more focused on their own needs and priorities than the project's needs and priorities. And so you can, by testing these partners early, seeing how they engage throughout the development when there's high uncertainty and high risk, and see how they, I'll say, stick through it. This kind of idea of political will, but political courage to continue in the face of high uncertainty, I think is going to be a really important piece for Estonia, and you're already engaged in it through events like this, through participation in things like the FIRST program, through collaboration with the Swedes and the Finns and et cetera, just by testing the water there and trying to figure out what is the best approach for Estonia. You're already doing this.
Yeah, well, in Estonia, we admitted from the beginning of this process that we don't have sufficient expertise in our country to even maybe to complete this comprehensive report that provided our political level decision makers sufficient information based on which to adopt this knowledge-based and informed decision. So, and we have been relying on international cooperation opportunities a lot. But now, well, there's a question to all of the panelists on voluntary basis who would like to share their ideas or views on this question, that if we still depend a lot on international cooperation opportunities, at the same time we have to bear in mind that we shouldn't neglect this domestic capacity building either, because political situations in countries might change. Those countries who were very good partners and provided a lot of support might not be there for you the following year on when you have to also develop your domestic capabilities. And I would like panelists to share their ideas on this international cooperation versus domestic capacity building. How do you find the balance, or how do you ensure that this is best managed, that you have sufficient competences domestically, but you also are doing extensive cooperation internationally to engage other experts and views. So on voluntary basis, who would like to start? Maybe Mr. Hattori-san. If you're still, you're still there. What role should international partnerships play versus domestic capability building in the first nuclear power plant project?
Oh, thank you. This is a slide I'd like to say. The first is the international partnership with nuclear advanced countries like United States, France, Japan, and others. Is one of the key factors to launch nuclear program for newcomer countries like Estonia, to prepare necessary legislation and regulatory framework to promote capacity building and to secure high-quality supply chain. Cooperation and support of nuclear advanced countries is essential. For domestic capacity building in the first nuclear project, it is efficient and effective to dispatch young engineers to nuclear advanced countries, mainly for on-the-job training. The young engineer has the capability to learn by himself, and after that back to your country and share his experience. That is very, very efficient and effective. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hattori-san, for those insights. Do we have any other Marti.
I can start, so
Yeah.
have the ideas say out first. So, one thing is that maybe while we're collaborating others, then it's still we need to do our homework, and that's a good training. And I would say that in order to not to put too much burden on our partners to do everything for us, we have to do. We do the plans first, we do the groundwork first, and then we let our partners to review and give feedback. I think we've done that. Quite often we get very good feedback that we already get a green light that's well done. Sometimes we get feedback that something needs to be added or done more. So I think it's a longer process to build up the in-country local competence. It's fine if we start with a new field, we work with others, but we have to remember that this is like a Brad Pitt in the Moneyball movie said that this is a process. It's a process. It's a process. So it's a long run. In order to, we need a method there. We shouldn't focus on the results all the time, but we need a method. So we don't depend on the luck, and we have to be patient. And one example is how probably many countries, but I've heard the numbers from Spain that when they built up their nuclear program, they have about 10 reactors, and when they built the first reactor, 80% of the supply chain and know-how came from outside Western reactor technologies. Yeah. When they built the 10th one, 80% of the supply was domestic already, and now they can handle their own, most for the most part. So as I said, this is a process, and that if we do our homework well, let others validate and cooperate, then in the end the result just comes. But we have to be patient.
Okay. Thank you very much, Marti. Yeah, Dr. Yamashita.
Hattori-san said they send young engineers to the advanced nuclear technology countries, and that is actually not the burden for the receiving countries, because we are we are worrying about the retiring engineers. We are aging. Therefore, if we receive the younger generations, young engineers for example, in Japan, it is encouraging. It is a very good opportunity for the aging engineers to get revived, and then they also have an opportunity to communicate with the younger generation. The teachers remain young because they are exposed to those young bloods, and then that will be mutually beneficial for the aging advanced economies, which are actually starting the journey of putting up new nuclear power plants. So it will be mutually beneficial exercise, I think.
But you have to be ready. We want them back.
Promise. Yeah, very good. They're motivating for both, for the teachers and students. So we in Estonia, we're trying to encourage young people to pursue careers in nuclear. That we say that even if we don't proceed with this program in Estonia, then but other countries do, and you definitely will not be out of job, but we're stressing that we're hoping to see their careers thrive in Estonia. So, Josh, Lauri, do you have something to?
I would actually bring out that when we are collaborating with other countries, we are actually, meantime, developing ourselves as well. We might use other countries as advice, but they are for us, they are teachers, they are mentors. In the end, we ourselves have to make the decision. So that's also competency building when we collaborate with other countries. So we really want to avoid isolation. We are not one of the Koreas, We have opportunity to speak to other countries and collaborate, and that's it's the best way to learn from the others.
Yeah, cooperating with others, helping us to learn and improve. That's I can agree with. So, Josh?
Yeah, I'll use a practical example of how SNL has had this model work in the world. So in the 1990s, South Korea was developing and building their first fleet, and this idea of partnership. So SNL partnered in South Korea and sent several hundred engineers over to basically train the South Korean workforce on how they need to design from scratch. So we sent engineers over. The Koreans kind of worked underneath senior level engineers. And then as the programs developed and more builds went, we actually inverted the model to where those Koreans that were junior engineers with some of the first builds became senior engineers with some of the later builds. And SNL's role actually just naturally diminished to a more advisory role. And I think this is kind of playing off your idea of maybe early it's 80-20 in international versus domestic, but providing a roadmap, a vision where it can be inverted throughout the program. And then you, Estonia, then have a resource actually you can offer to the market, right? Because nuclear is not going to die, right, with just if you build 2 units here, right? The process is going to continue in the region. You're going to have skill sets that you can then offer to the market. And those young engineers see a long-term future for themselves and beyond. So,
yeah, that's a very good dream or a goal to take, that maybe in the future Estonians could be the ones who are assisting others and provide our expertise and knowledge to train other newcomer countries on nuclear energy. But our time today is up, and it's time to conclude this very, very nice and good discussion on nuclear energy today. And I thank all the panelists. I thank you, Mr. Hattori-san, for joining us this very late evening from Japan.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
And I think our panelists deserve one applause. So I now invite Mr. Hara for closing remarks of the today. And thank you very much, everyone, for active participation.
Thank you for the Estonian side first. So excellent planning and preparation by the Estonian team. So led to be the successful in the seminars. And thank you for the U.S. side and the Japanese side. All participants from the U.S. side and the Japanese side are well prepared and share the valuable contents and participated in the debates. So which made this seminar the meaningful one. So Estonia is a important country for Japan. So please take a picture. So yes. So before coming to the Estonia, Japan IAEA, nuclear energy management school started. So this photo was taken the day before yesterday. So I think some of you well know these lady and gentlemen, right? So and the Estonian delegation is scheduled to visit Japan in November. So we currently preparing for your visit. And so as a host, we will do our best to ensure the visitors will be satisfied, just like last 2 years. So we very welcome the Estonian people to visit Japan. So some other people will visit Japan in the future. Okay. And yesterday, I arrived in the Tallinn, and I walked around the city and including the old town. So So it is a very clean and a very beautiful city. So I had a very comfortable walk. So I would definitely like to come back to this place the next year and to hold worthwhile seminars the next years. So let's continue our good relationship. So thank you very much for all of the participants. And what I said in the Estonian. Aita, Sur Aita. Okay. Thank you very much for the participating in the seminars.
Can I have also one word? Oh, yes. I just one word also from Fermi's side. I would like to say big thank you, first of all, to our Japanese experts or to our US expert, but most of all to METI and JICC for organizing this and putting a lot of effort, bringing a lot of experts from abroad. This is very important, and I'm really happy that the cooperation between JICC, the ministry, and also we in Fermi helped to put together this seminar. These are very important for us, and big thanks for JICC and applause for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Henry-san. Panel discussion is very impressive, and I'm getting sleepy because of jet lag, but discussion awakened me. So I really realized communication and cooperation and discussion is very important. So we'll prepare AI Hattori or AI Yamashita for international cooperation. How about that? Yeah, it's joking. So this program is all finished, and next outside, Fermi Henry-san prepared drink and snacks, and let's discuss again and communication, the networking. Please enjoy. Thank you again.